Hello, everyone. The next instalment of the DFS Down Under show is live again on a Wednesday night here in Hobart Town. The A team is back, and looks like someone's back in a big way here. Smatho 10 here, and obviously my co-host in Big Hef. And let me guess, is your little man crush back this week, buddy?
He's back, Smatho. He's back. It's been a long time coming. We've been waiting for a good 12 months for the great man to be back, but he's back this week. He killed someone in the waffle. Natanui is back. I'm back. I had a week off. Funny story, actually, last week, Smatho. You know, I was terribly crook from that disease you brought back from Fiji.
Yeah, it's called karma. Yeah, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, but the show went so long last week that by the time you finished, I was good as gold. So I thought about jumping on at the end, but no, I thought we'll just wait for a week. You and the avocado did a great job, but now the A team's back, like you said, and I'm pumped. Natanui's back. Willie Rioli's back. I'm feeling good for the Eagles this week, Smatho.
Very good. I will have to say I do have the tort roll here this evening, just in case the old nose starts to leak a bit. I think Hobart's in an epidemic here. So if I have the old man voice, cold or man flu going on, like I do apologise, viewers, but we'll make sure that we're nice and short, sharp this week instead of that marathon effort last week. You know, my ears started bleeding after a while after all that chat from the avocado. So let's now.
He's a machine. He is a machine, the avocado.
Yeah, we made sure we came on just after locking the cricket tonight. And, before we get on the thumbs up, let's just quickly talk about the World Cup cricket. Amazing tournament at the moment. A great win by the Aussies last night. And we've got the Kiwis on the night here. Hopefully going to put on 450 against the Packies. Mate, how are you going with the World Cup? You been catching any of the action?
Yeah, I stayed up last night till about, after that third wicket the Aussies got last night, that was it for me. I went to bed. I thought it was all over. I haven't played a whole lot of DFS. I've got a baby that doesn't sleep very well, so he's been getting in the way when it's time to put the teams in. But just having the cricket on every night's magnificent, something to watch. And I tend to prefer watching the footy, though, when the footy's on the weekend, but then the cricket fills it out during the week. So I'm really hoping England get knocked out. That'll really make my day. So go the Packies tonight.
Go the Packies. Hang on.
Go the Packies.
Go the Kiwis.
No, go the Packies, just to make it interesting. More chance for the Poms to lose. That's what I'm all about. Don't worry about the Kiwis. They're just making up the numbers.
Oh, well, speaking of the numbers, someone says 10K and they come back, say 15, and then 15, 20, 20, 25, 20. What's going on with the old two sides? Just the old little jukes going.
How good is it?
Oh, it's amazing for the DFS public, but the guys here at DFR, how many tweets we've tweeted out saying, yeah, there's a 10K contest, and we look back and hang on, it's changed to 20 and then 20 to 25.
You've been uncharacteristically inaccurate lately, Smatho, but Jake's the editor, Jake, he's all over it. He keeps fixing up all your mistakes and keeping everyone up to date.
No, not my mistakes. I'm the one. I'm actually prompting the guys at DFR. But let's get on with the show. Cricket's on in the background. No shouting out when the wicket is, please. None of that nonsense from Origin last time. I don't trust anyone anymore. So let's go back to the round of footy here on the both sides. And we go back to last Thursday night where it was 100K here on Draft Stars, and a team by Ehez took down the first day 100K. So he gets my little nomination for a sneaky thumbs up. JK on the 100K Saturday slate. He's not there. So JK at 100K, he smashed that out. But my thumbs up this week goes to the brilliant contest on Sunday night, State of Origin Game 2 over at Perth. Big contest that went on Draft Star, big 30K in the end. And if the avocado put up the side here, my thumbs up goes to the number one player here, RD_101, for taking down the State of Origin slate, 3,800 for his win. Hef, great looking team here. What do you reckon of the State of Origin side that won the contest?
Yeah, it's one of the better rugby teams I've seen. Am I allowed to call it rugby or is it league?
Yeah, I have to call it league.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
It was a superb looking team. The team sitting in fourth, desperately unlucky. You've really changed your tune, Smatho. I thought Sunday night in the heat of the moment, there was no way the 2 thumbs up were going RD's way because he was getting all other superlatives at that time. But you've obviously cooled down and happy with your 4th place. That was a massive contest for NRL. Since when do we give that much money away on
it's
such a limited straight line game?
It's, as I said, it's their Super Bowl. So yeah, it was great for both sides to put up a big contest, and I had a great sweat that particular game, cashed some nice sides, and personally, that's a personal best in terms of winnings. From a little $2 grinder to $1,000 for a state of origin. Yeah, okay, I did all right, but no, it wasn't the win. But get the emoji up because I don't get often. This is the first time this year for a state of origin rugby league NRL. 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up to you, RD 101. Shout it out on Twitter. There it is. Well done. Hopefully, State of Origin 3. We might go 50K. Come on, DFS sides. You can go 50K for Game 3. The decider. It's going to be fantastic. Hef, what do you reckon?
First and last 2 thumbs up for NRL this year, Smatho.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Let's move on. We've got the golden ticket qualifiers. They're still going on, and we're actually over now the half allocation for the tickets now. So we're just starting to get into the little desperate stakes now. If we bring up the winners from last week, we had T Better, Matty Lee, Jay Barrett 16, who's been desperately trying to get one all season. He finally cracked one over the weekend. I reached out to T Better, who actually had a massive weekend in DFS. He managed to snag a golden ticket on the Sunday. And then there's Warhead. When I saw Warhead's Twitter name came up, I said, I might reach out to him and see how he went. And lo and behold, he reached out and said, hey, I was supposed to put that in the $2 one, not the 50. And he cleaned up. He would have came fourth. He would have came fourth in the $2 qualifier, but yeah, he accidentally put in the 50. And lo and behold, he's coming to Melbourne.
Wow, I did have a read of that article, Smatho. I'm loving these articles with the guys that win. They're great to read because you can just hear the enthusiasm and the excitedness, and everyone's just so happy to get these tickets. Love these live final promotions. Can't wait to get there. We say it every week how good it is. Get on. There's still plenty of chances. Those $50 contests, they don't fill either. I've seen 46, 50 entries. If you do happen to have a bit of spare cash to have a go at them, they're pretty good value now.
Yeah. Pick your spots. And speaking of picking your spots, apparently we've got a wicket in the cricket, Hef. What's going on? If I've
the Kiwis must be
Guptill out. Oh.
Guptill's out, Smatho. Did you tip Gus? Did you tip Guptill?
He was a great GPP play. You were always a massive stealing. He either give you ball lollies or chocolates, and looks like he's got ball. Hopefully, he takes a couple of catches in the second innings. But hey, at 12K on DS, if you're blowing up if Guptill got out, then you shouldn't have picked him. So, but I did. So I'll blow it up as well for people blow it up. All right.
For anyone that's new to the show, great GPP means a guy who's going to kill your lineup.
Yeah.
That's what a GPP play means. The guy who's going to stuff you. But anyway, we'll keep you updated on how your Kiwis are going to get knocked over, Smatho. And we're going to see the Packies knock the Poms out.
Yeah, okay. We might get 380 now. All right, let's talk some footy then. Another 4-day slate. I think, is this the last of the year? This is the last Thursday night game for the year? I think it is. Yeah, so this dragon and little single slates is now going to die soon. So we'll back to those big slates on Saturday and Sunday. But hence, we've got a massive Thursday night game, which is the Essendon versus GWS. Line is 12.5. Total is 168.5. Moneyball have put out a $40,000 single slate contest, and Draft Stars have gone the big 100K. $20 entry, and as you can see, there is also a promo for Draft Stars where if you put 3 entries into the 100K contest on Thursday night, you'll receive an entry on Friday night as well. Great promotion, that particular one. Teams dropped tonight for the contest tomorrow. The Giants have made 3 changes. They've dropped Matty Buntine and Jake Stein, which is a bit unfortunate, but they've also lost Matty DeBoer, which sent shockwaves through the fantasy world. not for premium midfielders, but for DFS players as well. Nick Haynes, Zach Landon, and Jackson Haitley is back. The super coach darling is going to make us so much money. He's in for the Bombers. Old mate Gleason is in. And first game, like 600 days or something like that. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. Hef, let me build it up for you. Giants on the resources on the DFR website, which is free to use, are down the bottom. They're stingy as every position, apart from the rucks. Essendon are around the mid-table. So pretty easy to see that it's very hard to get on top of Giants fantasy scoring. What do you reckon so far?
Yeah, well, those numbers are they're pretty ominous for the Giants, and they're sort of hitting their straps. But they are playing in Melbourne, and we saw was it Hawthorn that saw them out in Melbourne? They don't play a whole lot at the Dome, the Giants. So I know if it was in GWS, I'd be really fearing playing any Bombers. But look, it's a single game; anything can happen. And yeah, Giants in Melbourne, they don't hold quite as much fear for me. No, Matty DeBoer, that's massive. Zach Merritt would he just would have been so happy last week the week before when DeBoer did his shoulder. Do you reckon they might give someone else a tagging role, Smatho? It's worked so well for them. Maybe we might get blindsided. They might give young Haitley a role or something like that, and we might just cop a tag that we didn't see coming. What do you reckon?
Look, I reckon it'll boost Jackson Haitley's score even more if he's going to do 10 to 12 tackles for the night, tagging Merritt or something like that. No issues there. Look, yeah, sure, Merritt might cop a bit of a hard run with, but not as bad as the number one defender in the league. Oh, tagger, sorry, not defender. So, yeah. Something to monitor, maybe to read some literature about it, but I don't have too much issues with that.
Keep an eye on that. Just past games, these two haven't played each other at the Dome since 2016. Obviously, a fair bit's gone under the bridge since then, so not much to take from that. GWS flogged the Bombers in round one. Everyone thought it was year over already for the Bombers. They weren't too far wrong because they've been up and down ever since. But last year, the Dons did beat GWS in Sydney, and they killed them. So not impossible to see an upset here. Don's coming off a loss. No one gives them a chance, really. That's when I've had a theory for years and years with the Bombers that's when they're most dangerous. And we have seen GWS fall over in Victoria. So it's not a fait accompli that maybe it looks for me anyway.
Speaking of dangerous players, these rucks. Mummy versus old Pearl Chambers. Most fearsome rucks in the league. Not the most fearsome fantasy scoring, unfortunately. And we're going to pay over 6K for him on Moneyball. Look, Mummy did play pretty well against Goldstein down in Hobart, so he actually outscored Goldie in them, where we all tipped Goldie to absolutely smash him. Should find Bell Chambers a little bit easier in a matchup as well. So kind of leaning towards Mummy at this stage, just going on previous form.
Yeah, I think you're right. You've put in the notes for me to call these blokes a couple of big fantasy gimps, Smatho. I really want to. I definitely wouldn't say that to either of their faces. They're a couple of big boys. Geez, I don't know. If you've worked out how these guys are going to go, you're smarter than me because they're very up and down. They seem to have their good games when you least expect it. I'll just be mixed. Well, Belcho's still in love too. We've got to remember that. I'm just going to mix and match them and probably just play half and half and try and work out something else with the other positions.
Yep, fair enough. Let's look at defence then. So back in round one, obviously the backs down at Essendon had a lot of ball down there, but it didn't do much of it. There was very low scoring, and obviously the Giants' forward line went absolutely bananas. The players scored 2 on DFR shows that didn't have much love down the Essendon back. So we talk about Hurley and Hooker being, some good links for the defenders. Will you reckon the Giants be able to let them do that off the chain tomorrow?
Yeah, I love playing Hurley and Hooker together. Moneyball makes it a bit easier too when they make Hooker a forward. Our notes are out the window today because we were sort of talking up Jack Stein and now he's been dropped.
Yeah.
So there goes the sort of semi-obvious cheap play. Harry Perryman's still there. 6,100. He's starting to get up there, but given his role in the middle, he's still pretty well priced. I expect him to be very popular. You don't necessarily need to link him with another GWS back because he doesn't. He's more through the midfield, Perryman. So it's not like he's going to be chipping around with a mate down there. But Zach Williams is pretty well priced, 7,400. And then obviously the Dons. If the Giants' pressure is really all over them and they just go back and forth in the back line, you've got. I do like playing the teams with Hurley down back, Hooker up forward, and then you can play another Essendon back, and then maybe hope they all chip around and can't get through the Giants' press or something like that. But it's a hard night for picking backs, and I think Perryman's going to be very popular for that reason. With good reason.
Look, losing Stein hurts your popular builds too. So it's going to be interesting now who's going to be your second back. Now let's look at the mids. And wowee, 10K mids everywhere. Obviously, Whitfield's not playing, but there's over 4 players with 10K price tags, which means you can't play them all, and especially not much value now. But we do have the inclusion of Haitley now, who's at around that 4.5K mark. So probably he's going to be super, super chalk tomorrow. Is there any takes here? You're looking at these mids. Kelly's great. Merritt, obviously, he's got a great ceiling. Taranto can go off as well. It's going to be hard to choose which one you're going to get for 10K.
It is, yeah. Haitley's obviously the value guy on the slate, but then you've also got Dylan Clark, who had the 100 against Cripps, and then he's lightened off at a couple of 60s. But at 4,100, 60s is still a really good return. So if you got Haitley and Clark through there's only one midfield spot left. I expect to see a lot of flex spots used on midfielders as well to try and get all these big midfielders in. You want to try and get 2 of them in if you can. I want to talk about Clark for 2 reasons. One, because he's going to be so popular, but even though a quick game at the Dome probably doesn't suit him as well as other grounds, he's still going to be around the ball a lot, so he's hard to get away from. And the other one is he's going to have to tag someone. Now, Josh Kelly seems to avoid these tags somehow, Smatho. Surely he goes to Josh Kelly tomorrow night.
Yep. Surely you have to. But is he going to be effective, though? You know, Josh does play that kind of mid and then floats out to the wings and back in the mid again. He's going to have a big tank on him, so they'll give it a go. And if he does a great job, then it's going to hurt your teams. But I just can't see him being shut down, Josh Kelly. They'll find a way to get him loose.
Yeah, I've been hopeless at tag roulette the last few weeks. Everyone I think is going to get tagged seems to get away. I think Clark was with Gaff. It wasn't the hardest of tags I've seen. But if they think enough of him to go with Gaff, I think that he must have the tank to go with Kelly. So I'm probably going to be against Kelly and just hope for the best. I don't see him going to Cornelio. I don't see him going to Taranto. I think Hopper's going to be pretty popular around that sort of 8K mark just to help salary-wise. I think Hopper with one of the big guys, maybe Cornelio's got a great record at the Dome, actually, I was noticing. They don't have a lot of games there, so how much you can put into that, I'm not really sure. But and then Zach Merritt's pretty expensive at 10.3. It's very hard to score points against this GWS midfield. That concerns me a bit. And then a bit of a left fielder. He's going hopeless, and I don't even know if he's any good at footy anymore. But Zaharakis is playing a lot down back. You can pick him in the mids, and if you think you're going to play a lineup with a lot of Essendon holding the ball in the back line, maybe Zaharakis is a bit left field to link them up.
Interesting. Question about notice, who you reckon will be the most highly owned out of those 4 guys? Taranto, Kelly, Merritt.
Yeah, that's a hard one. It's always Kelly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether people worry about the tag or not, I don't really know. I probably lean to Kelly being popular. Merritt's always popular, but everyone loves stacking those GWS mids. But like Taranto does seem to be popular as well, but then he's up over 10K now too. So I think it'll be pretty close between the 3 main ones.
Okay, very good. Speaking of close, these forwards, not much here. I've been searching for a sneaky for you, but just can't find anything for you. Is there something we can do with the forwards? Because we need to save some money, and forwards are usually the best way to do it.
Yeah, well, the obvious ones are Essendon forwards, which is a worry in itself.
Yeah.
Begley was quite good last week against West Coast. Bobbed up for a few goals. We know Moneyball don't catch up to them on salary for a few weeks, so he's still pretty cheap. And Laverty is the other one who's still pretty cheap. On the cheat sheets, though, that matchup column we've got on the DFR website, they've got the big red 18 staring us in the face. Worst matchup in the comp for forwards.
Oh, man, you got Phil Davis. You know, Phil Davis will probably go to Begley or whoever's. Or Stringer's still playing, I think he is, but Laverde.
No,
Yeah,
Stringer.
Stringer's still out. Yeah, so you think Phil will go to Begley?
McKernan or someone. Yeah, they got Haynes back as well. He's a really good player, Haynes. But I still think Begley will be really popular because he's got that last start 76. He's still only a bit over 4K. It's not hard for him to get to sort of say 60, but if you want to spend a bit more, I think Brett Deledio is starting to get the hang of things. A few games back now from injury. He's obviously a class player when he's right. Does have a really good record at the Dome. And then obviously I mentioned before, Kale Hooker, you can play in your forward line if you want to take that angle with the Bombers, you can put him in there too.
Well, speaking of Deledio, comes to my little sneaky for the night, little sneaky bet. Enjoyed his game down at Blundstone Arena. He snuck up for a little sneaky little forward pocket goal, and I thought, Lids is coming back here. So Group C on the Bet Easy side here for fantasy points. If you bring it up here, have a card. I've got Brintley at $4 to beat Tomlinson, Langford, Fantasia, Sard, Finlayson, McKenna, and Phil Davis. I think a little sneaky play, that one. What do you reckon, Ev?
Yeah. Well, not hard to beat that sort of mob, is it?
Yeah.
I do remember I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Time goes so quick these days. He did have a big 120 out of nowhere at the Dome. He does seem to like it there. Yeah, he's only 7K, Deledio. I'm definitely going to have some in my lineups.
All right. Now let's move on to Friday night then. Geelong versus Adelaide. At Geelong, the line is 19.5 to Geelong at the moment with a total of 156.5. Moneyball have also put out a $40,000 single contest, and Draft Stars have done the 60,000 as well. We already know that old Jenko is out after falling in a heap late in the game last week, and also Wayne Malera is actually out as well, so that might bump some guys out who are on the fringes. For Geelong, Gary Rowan has the old HIA, the old concussion, so we'll see if he gets up. And looks like Fort probably might make way out the side after not producing the last couple of rounds. Looking at the resources on the DFR site, there's no real edges that I could find, apart from the Crows now starting to leak to the premium centres, the top three in the league at around 119 points in the last 5 games. So obviously we've got some big Geelong midfielders here. So, if Adelaide are leaking it up, we might have to target them. And then if also for the rucks, Geelong are now starting to leak some points in the rucks department. Old Stanley's just not getting the job done, especially after last week's effort as well. Let's talk about the rucks. Now, obviously, Lyset just went whooshka last week and said, bye-bye, Paddy. This is my job now. Don't come back. Towed up Stanley. Do we reckon the Riley O'Brien, who should retain his place in the side, going big again, or does all Sauce Jacobs come in and they play the old double rucks? What do you reckon?
No, they can't play. They can't play these two rucks together, surely. Although Jenkins is out, so they did say Elliot Himmelberg's likely to replace him. So I think they're going to stick with O'Brien. Sauce Jacobs has got a lot better since he's been injured. I noticed he was looking pretty cooked start of the year. Sauce Jacobs. So I don't think they're in any rush to get him back. 140 odd last time for O'Brien. It seems like such an easy play against Stanley, who's just former strongman Reece Stanley. He's been hopeless lately. He just got ripped apart by big Scotty Lyset. But let's not forget who O'Brien was rucking against last week. It was Maybor Chol, Fake Chow, and Noah Bolter. Like, geez, you and me could have got a few hit outs.
We could have got a couple, yeah.
So you're going to be really popular off that. But, I don't want to get too carried away with O'Brien, but still, his previous form was good enough. Maybe Stanley need the run. He's been a bit sore this year, Stanley. He gets back home. They're pretty similar priced. I'm thinking it's maybe a contrarian spot for Reece Stanley. I think O'Brien's O'Brien's the best play, but I don't think it's such a big margin that the ownership might reflect. So I'm going to have a bit of Reece Stanley and just hope that because I'm also pretty big on Geelong here.
Yeah,
Now, Geelong lose off the bye every single year.
yeah,
I've no doubt Chris Scott's probably blasted them because they get you're 2 games on top of the ladder. You get a bit complacent. Now you go home. It's time to get serious, and I think they will get serious against Adelaide. And so I sort of want to look to Stanley for that reason as well.
you never know. They could do some more dick moves and name Stanley and put Zach Smith as emergency and bring him in late.
I'd be quite happy. Zach Smith was really good when they played him last
Yeah.
time. So if they do that, then I'd be happy to play Zach Smith. But at least we know.
Yeah.
At least we know before lock.
All right. What about defence? Obviously, good line here for Geelong. That means that the ball probably won't come down Geelong's way that much. Adelaide got a pretty tall forward line still with Tex, and then probably bring in Himmelberg as well for Jenkins. So what do you reckon of the defence here? We might have to pay up for a couple here.
Oh, yeah. Some of these games down in Geelong, they do tend to just totally dominate the ball. Zach Tui finally showed some life last week. He got 100 against Port. I think he's still underpriced on his best work, so I think he's definitely in play. Zach Tui. Tommy Stewart has just been sort of tinkering along there mid-80s, which isn't great at his price, but I think he does have the upside if they sort of do dominate the game. And with only Tex and Himmelberg up forward, I think he's probably going to enjoy getting across and taking a few intercept marks. So they're the obvious ones for the Cats. I think cheap options probably Jordan Clark. He can kill your lineup. He's a great GPP player, a bit like Martin Guptill. But he does have genuine 15-time upside. So I think sprinkling Clark's fine. The more interesting thing about the backs is that there's a lot of backs for Geelong that aren't designated as backs on Moneyball. So
yeah,
you can get a fair few of these guys in. Harry Taylor's a forward. Mark O'Connor's a mid. Don't really want to play Blixstars, but he is a mid as well. If you want to pile them all in together, you do have the chance to do that.
Okay, what about the mids now? There's bit of talk that obviously Rowan might not get up with his concussion, and they've been talking up Darcy Fogarty. He's 4,500 on Moneyball. Had 27 possessions in the VFL last week. He's had 5 or 6 games in the VFL after his surgery. They've been talking up the category that he might get a game, and if Rowan doesn't come up, they might chuck him around half forward. But if he doesn't get up, you might have to leave me in some mid-price or even some premium mids here. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think you got Fogarty's mixed up there, Smatho. It's Lockie's the Geelong guy. Darcy's the Adelaide guy, and John's the guy you dance to at about 4 a.m. But
it's Lachlan, isn't it?
Lockie, yeah, you called him Darcy. He's not getting.
No, I could run the tape back.
Yeah,
Avocado,
you don't want to run
out.
the tape back. Trust me. Anyway, 4,500 Smatho. That's cheap. He's a ball magnet, Lockie Fogarty.
Yes, he is. Lachlan,
yeah, so
yes.
If he does get in, then yeah, he's definitely an option. There's so many midfield options in this game.
Oh, there's so many. I'm just scrolling through the team now. Look, there's so many.
Unbelievable. Because these two teams, they just back their midfield. So there's no worrying about tagging, provided they don't bring in bloody Scott Selwood, which would upset the apple cart. But So you got Tim Kelly got eaten up by Dan Houston last week. Had a massive problem with him.
Yeah, I
There's
was
no
all
tag
in.
this
I
week.
was all in him too. I was 100% on Tim Kelly last week.
Yeah.
Killed me, Buzz.
Yeah, so he's in a great bounce back spot. Obviously, his price is down off that. Low 9s. Rory Sloane, 8,800. He's always a great play when there's no tag on the horizon. As we talked about the mids, sort of linking up the backs. So Cam Guthrie likes to link with those backs. Mitch Duncan plays a lot of time across half back now. So they're guys that you can link with your backs if you think it's going to go that way for Geelong. Obviously, Dangerfield's just a gun. Heaps of options here through the midfield. So I'm spending up in the midfield. This is where the big points are coming, and it's a great spot to spend up.
Yep. And after spending all my money in the mids, I have to find a couple of forwards again. And again, there's not much chop down here as well. Himmelberg at 5-2 is probably the cheapest I'll probably go down to. Even bigger Sava if he gets a game at 4-2. I don't really see it. Like Myers is in a bit of a rut at the moment. Parfitt, it's okay. It's 6-9 Parfitt, but I don't think he'll have enough money for these guys down here.
Yeah. Sava's an interesting one. If he gets back, like who's the backup ruck going to be for Essendon? Not Essendon, Adelaide. Like Jenkins usually plays that role. If Elliot Himmelberg's running that sort of backup ruck role, and then Asava gets to go against him, and then he did show a bit before he sort of hurt himself last game, big Asava. Yeah, he sort of appeals as a cheaper option. Both teams have got very good defences. Like, I don't want to play any Tex Walker at all. I think he's just going to get eaten by whoever they decide to put on him. It'll probably be Blixarves.
Yep.
So I'm more inclined to go with the guys who don't actually play forward. So that's guys like Parfitt, who gets a fair bit of time through the middle of the ground. Even Harry Taylor, because he's probably going to be down back instead. You can link him through. Yeah, there's not a lot on offer up forward. So, yeah, trading down and playing the guys who aren't actually forwards, that seems like a good strategy to me.
Excellent. All right, shut up, avocado. Let's move on to Saturday. There's 4 games slate.
Let's just address it one more time.
Apparently they're down the Fogarties.
Fogarties.
Fair enough.
There's Darcy, there's John, and there's Lockie. There's Darcy on the left and Lockie on the right. We'll work on that for next week, Smatho.
Okay.
We'll get a bit of John Fogarty for the intro too.
Look, if he doesn't get a game, then obviously I can go again with a Lockie Fogarty take next
Darcy
week.
Darcy won't be getting a game. We know that.
All right, fair enough.
What happened to Darcy Fogarty? He looked good, Darcy Fogarty, when he started off, and he's 6 touches a game getting cut. He was an extra shooter at one stage. But, yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move on. 4 game slate, 100K on Moneyball is the big queen of the contest on Saturday. Hawthorn at West Coast. Hawthorn versus West Coast. Sydney versus Gold Coast. Collingwood versus North Melbourne, and Port versus the Bulldogs. Also, there's a $50,000 contest on DraftStars as well for a $15 buy-in. Hef, 4 games here. Next week, we'll go back to 5, which would be great. Just some general thoughts on the slate. We won't break it down game by game. What are you looking at on this big Saturday?
Well, I like the smaller slates, Smatho, so I'm not really looking to the 5 games next week.
A little single slate, are you?
Yeah, I am. I do seem to be a single slate operator, but first up, Scotty Lysett was the big home run last week, single running against Reece Stanley. Now the cat's out of the bag, but obviously his price hasn't gone up much on Moneyball, 7,000, and now he's got that Tim English matchup that we just look for every week.
Lockety lock.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big Lyso. I've still got a soft spot for Lyso, premiership player at the Eagles. I'll have a fair bit of him. One thing we've done all year is target those mids against Gold Coast. So we're looking at Luke Parker.
Oh, yeah.
He's going well. He's hit his straps, hasn't he, Luke Parker? He was a bit underwhelming start of the year. I wondered where he sort of was. I know you made the comment one time, where is he? Maybe that was me. But
yeah.
So he's probably the obvious midfielder for Sydney to go big. Kennedy's the other one who looked pretty underdone last week, but he's just going to have his way with that midfield. Whether he's really keen to get a big score or just get himself through another week's remains to be seen. And the other one would be Isaac Heaney, who's still under 8K. He does have 120 points in him, Heaney, every now and then. If they probably don't need to play him through the midfield that much now. They got Zach Jones back, and they seem to be letting Hewitt run around and play footy instead of chasing someone. But Heaney, Gold Coast is a great matchup for someone to score if they're going to rest forward as well. I assume Buddy Franklin out means they probably want to have Heaney up forward a bit more too.
Yep. So be careful of that one. Now, me and the Avocado had a really hot take against Hawthorn backs last week, and obviously that came true. Who the Hawks got this week?
My men, the Eagles.
Oh, your guys. So who are we looking at West Coast? We've got to load up on those blokes.
let me compose myself here, Smatho. Because one guy I'd be really looking at is old mate Turbo McGovern. And he's not playing this week.
What a fug. What a fug he is.
What a hug. Like, fair to one of our favourite guys on the show, the Bull Cameron Zuhar. Remember when he put that bloke through, he put Luke Bruce into the fence, like just one of the greatest acts of thuggery you've ever seen, and got a fine. And then you've got one of the great ball players the game's ever seen, McGovern, gets suspended because he knocked a bloke into a barbecue bloody plastic chair and he's near broken his ribs. He was in such a bad way they took him off in a taxi and they've still given him a week. Have you ever seen a bigger disgrace? And then next up in the tribunal, oh, here's a bloke who's headbutted someone. No, we'll let you off. The bloke playing the ball will give him a week and the bloke that headbutts someone will let him off. Like, what is going on, Smatho? Now we can't play him in the best matchup of the year against Hawthorn.
All right, well, let me put this back. Let me put this back to you, right? If he got off and Guelphy, who's not playing this week, all right?
Yep.
Outraged that way. No, he's out injured. He's still crook.
He shouldn't be playing with that haircut.
He's still crook from his injury. He's still making his way back from Perth, probably by
Jeremy McGovern's job to make sure there's enough room between the boundary line and the plastic chairs. He's playing footy. That's all he's doing. It's not his job to look after someone else. And I'm just hoping Tommy Barrass comes back in now because he's my other favourite down there. And if he comes back in, he's a great play, Barrass, because as we've been talking about West Coast, Shannon Hearn is coming down in price. He's had a couple of off games. He gets a great spot. Even a bit of Will Schofield, 3,500. How's that for a little sneaky?
Seriously, there's going to be like 44 intercept marks up for grabs. So if Barrass can get 17 and Schofield get 10, that's 6 points all the way. Easy.
Even the Pelican got about 70 last week down back against Sydney. So yeah, I'll be dying, living by that sword and dying by that sword on the Eagles' backs.
Now, what about this? What about this bloody bloke who got the old rising star for the week, who kind of killed my qualifying buzz too? I was in the top 10 that Sydney game, and then all of a sudden, this bloody lank of a bloke who does resemble my body type here, but he killed it last caller, and bye golden ticket.
Yeah, he had at least 40 in that last quarter, didn't he?
Oh, it was sick.
I've heard him described as Gumby, Nick Blakey, we're talking about from the Swans. I heard this week his nickname's the Lizard.
The Lizard.
Which is what they used to call you in high school, Smatho.
I've been called a lot of names. Lizard's not quite. I was called the Worm for a while. Shout out to the uni blokes. I was called the Worm. Yeah. I've been called Pretzel. I've been called Rake. I've been called...
Well, the Lizard. I love the nickname, the Lizard, for Nick Blakey. Yeah, the problem is he's very capable of getting a 40, but he's got a great matchup against Gold Coast. His price hasn't gone up that much. Like he's very playable against the Suns, the Lizard, as they want to call him. Then we got last of all, the new super tagger of the world could be Dan Houston. Now he's in doubt. I don't know if he's going to play, but he gave Tim Kelly one of the great hidings last week. So if he is named, he's coming for one of the Bulldogs. It's either going to be Bontempelli or McRae, you'd have to imagine. So just beware of that.
Beware of that. All right, let's move on to Sunday slate. 3 games on the Sunday, $60,000 on Moneyball, $40,000 on Draft Stars. 3 games, St Kilda and Richmond, Brisbane and Melbourne, and Freo are playing Carlton in the Bloodbath in Perth. Hef, what's your thoughts here on the Sunday? Obviously, Carlton could probably another team that we could go for. But obviously, we've got other 2 games that you never know could be quite a sneaky kind of games to build your lineups around.
Yeah, remember that week we were going to win by stacking Freo against the Tigers, and then the Tigers just flogged them over there? Well,
they did, yeah.
Well, I can't see Carlton giving it to them. So maybe this is the week for the Freo stacks. It's
Carlton off the bye, though. You never know. Pretty fresh.
Yeah, they'll be half asleep, Carlton. They'll be all cuddling each other with the new coach, and I think they might get whopped. But It's the day of the mid price of Sunday. Griffin Logue still minimum price. He's at 100. He's at 70 odd. Paddy Nash is still 3,500 as well. You've got Hannah's who's pumped a ton. Daniel Hannabury, and he stays at 5,500.
Yep.
Ivan Soldo is probably going to come back. He's still only 4,400. All of a sudden, you've got 4 great value options there. Just lock them all in, gives you heaps of salary to play whoever you like at the other spots. It's hard to get away from any of those 4 guys.
It's going to be actually quite fun on the Sunday. If you're going to lock those guys in, you can pretty much play who you want to play. Great.
Yeah, but that sort of raises a point, though. Moneyball's got these high max limits, and if everyone's locking in these 4 guys, the guys who are putting in a stack of teams, they're going to cover a heap of combos around those 4 guys. So if you're only playing a small amount, maybe you've got to try and go a little bit contrarian. What do you think?
I think you've nailed it there. If I'm going to play 1 or 2 lineups, and if I'm going to play the same lineups that the big guys are going to play, you might min cash at best. So no guts or glory. It's a GPP. You got to play players who've got to be under 5%.
Yeah.
And the guys are just going, fuck it, I didn't. I'm sorry for language there. Sorry, geez, I should have played this guy at 3%, and he's gone bananas. Yeah.
You've always got to be thinking what everyone else is going to be doing. So projecting who's going to go well and that sort of stuff, that's half the battle. But you've also got to be thinking what everyone else is going to do, and maybe you can get an edge. So you've got a guy like Nick Hind who's 3,500. Do you look at playing him instead of Logue, who, let's be honest, he's a back that had no form at all until his last 2 weeks? Do you look at Sean Darcy instead of Soldo? He's about 5,500, Sean Darcy. Do you look at him maybe to get an edge over Soldo, or do you just pile 100% into those 4 value guys and then pick a couple of low-owned guys around them to try and be different to everyone else? So maybe instead of going the obvious Freo stack, you play the cheap guys and you target some lines against Melbourne, or St Kilda's just about had enough. Maybe you target some of the Tigers. So while it's straightforward on paper on who the best players are, you've still got to be thinking, where can I get that edge? Where can I sort of be a little bit different to the field to get into the big money?
No. Call the night there, Hef. Very, very good from you. I actually enjoyed that. All right, let's move on. That's the footy for the week. You can take a little seat back here as I pump up the DFS golf here. It's the Rocket Mortgage Classic, Hef. Brand new event out of Detroit, Motor City in the Midwest. To be honest, I've had a bit of a hard time this week. Bit of a new course, new event, and the field's not that great actually this week. There's only 5 of the top 25 players in it. So my article's up on the DFR website. It was tough to get in, but you never know. You might find a little sneaky little diamond in the rough there to put into your lineup. So that's a Thursday night lock. Also on Thursday night,
8,000 was it?
Yeah, 8,000 contests, and then DraftKings have a 600,000 Drive the King Green contest for a $5 buy-in.
With the 8,000, you could probably buy a house in Detroit, couldn't you?
You could, and probably a car, and probably
that's
some
a
other
bit
things
of
in Detroit.
incentive.
Yeah, that's actually incentive. And then NRL is also back for a 9-game round 15. That's also on Thursday night, which is the West Tigers playing the Rabbitohs. Couple of $5,000 contests on both the sites at Moneyball and DraftStars. I wonder if they can auction that as well and see if they can outbid each other to get it up to 10K, 15K. But I think I'm dreaming. Yeah. Hef, how are we going into cricket? I've got no scores, no nothing. What are we doing?
6 for 34.
What?
Sorry, 2. Sorry, the other
2, 6.
2 for 34 in the 8th. Well, that's an ordinary start. Matt Munro out for 12. Williamson and Taylor at the crease. I think your Kiwis are in trouble, Smatho. You'll be, like you usually do, you'll be back in another shirt next week.
Fair enough.
It won't be a POM one either, will it?
No, I could get the powder blue one out, a few weeks ago.
In memoriam, because hopefully by this time next week they are gone, the POMs.
They're gone.
More gone than Owen Morgan facing Mitch Stark last night.
All right. Look, we'll wrap up the show. There was another big edition of the DFS Down Under show. Round 15 of the AFL. Look, it's going to be final soon, Hef, and obviously the big live final is going to come up. So make sure you check out all of our articles and resources, which are free to use, on the dailyfantasyrankings.com.au website. I'm just having a quick sneaky check of the cricket. Yeah, I'm not going too well. Anyway, Hef, thanks for joining me tonight. Any parting thoughts before we go? Thank you to the avocado at the back there, just chucking away all this evening. Hef, thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. They're batting like that time you got 29 and carried the bat in school cricket in that 25 over game, Smatho.
Yep, the compo ball.
Very, very slow.
Very slow. All right,
Yeah.
stuffy
All right,
blokes.
see you next week,
We're going. We're off. Put the splash up. We'll see you next week.
See you, mate.
See ya.